Evan opened his eyes slowly. The light was too bright. His head felt heavy, like he had been asleep for days. When he tried to move, he realized he couldn't. His arms and legs were strapped to a cold metal chair. He looked around. The walls were smooth and glowing blue. Strange symbols moved across the surface like water. The air was clean, too clean. There was no sound, only a faint hum that seemed to come from the walls themselves. A calm, emotionless voice spoke. Prisoner 145. Subject: human male. Crime: emotional contamination. Prepare for judgment. Evan blinked. He didn't understand. What is this? Where am I? He shouted, but no one answered. A door slid open in front of him. 4 tall figures entered the room. They wore silver robes and masks that covered their faces. Their skin was pale green, their eyes glowing white. They didn't speak. They simply pushed his chair forward into a long, wide hallway. The hallway led to a giant chamber. Hundreds of alien females sat in rows, watching silently. Each one wore a dark cloak with a glowing symbol on the chest. At the center of the room was a tall platform. On it sat a woman with golden skin, silver hair, and eyes that seemed to look straight into Evan's mind. She stood up. "I am Judge Cerentha of the Andarix Council," she said. Her voice was clear and sharp. "You have been brought here for disturbing the emotional balance of our sectors. Your kind human males have shown dangerous patterns of behavior, passion, aggression, attachment. You are the first to be judged." Evan tried to stay calm. "I'm just one person. I didn't do anything. You've made a mistake." Cerentha raised her hand. "Your words are useless here. We have studied your species. We have collected samples. You were selected not because of your crimes, but because of your emotions." Another figure stepped forward. She wore a lab coat instead of a robe. Her voice was softer. "I am Vera, lead scientist of the Emotion Regulation Program. We are not here to punish you. We are here to fix you." Evan's heart raced. "Fix me? What does that mean?" Vera held up a small silver vial. A pink liquid shimmered inside. "This is the desire serum. It will help us understand your emotional core. It will also help you understand us." He shook his head. "I don't want any serum. I want to go home." Cerentha's eyes narrowed. "There is no home for you now. You are part of something bigger." 2 guards approached Evan. One of them held a device that connected to his neck. He felt a cold sting. The serum was being injected. Everything went blurry. Suddenly, Evan was standing in a field of red grass. A sky with 2 suns burned above him. A woman laughed in the distance. He turned and saw her Vera, but she looked different. Her face was soft, kind. She reached out and touched his hand. "I've seen this memory," she whispered. "It is not real, but it is beautiful." The image faded. Evan was back in the chamber, still strapped to the chair. Sweat covered his face, his heart pounded. "What was that?" he asked. Vera looked at him closely. "The serum shows us your inner world, your desires, your fears, your truth." Judge Cerentha stood again. "This is only the beginning. You will go through 7 phases. Each one will test a different part of your mind. If you pass, you may be changed forever. If you fail, you will be erased." Evan gritted his teeth. "Why are you doing this to me?" Cerentha turned to the crowd. "Because one human emotion can start a war or end one. We need to know which path you belong to." A large screen appeared behind her. It showed images of Earth, cities, people, laughter, chaos. Then, other images followed: alien planets destroyed, alien women crying, entire colonies turned cold. "We have watched your kind from a distance," Cerentha said. "Some of us admire your spirit, others fear it. This trial will decide your fate, and possibly the fate of your species." Vera stepped closer. Her voice was softer now. "You are not alone, Evan. I will guide you through the process." But you must stay strong. He looked into her eyes. For a moment, he saw something unexpected doubt. Before he could speak, the chair lifted into the air and began to move toward another chamber. The walls closed behind him. A robotic voice echoed. Phase 1 complete. Subject is stable. Prepare for Phase 2. As the doors shut tight, Evan knew one thing for sure. Nothing about this was just a trial. It was something far more dangerous. Asterisk. Evan wasn't sure if he was awake or dreaming. His eyes were open, but the world around him didn't feel real. He stood inside a white room with no walls, no ceiling, no floor. Just light. Endless, soft light. It pressed against his skin like fog. In front of him stood a woman. Her face was warm, familiar. She smiled, then turned and walked away without speaking. Evan followed her. With each step, the space around him changed. The light became color. The air turned heavy. He was now in a field of golden flowers. The sky above was violet, with 3 glowing moons. The woman stopped near a lake. She looked back at him. Then her voice echoed inside his mind. You have always wanted to be seen, to be understood. That is your true desire. Evan tried to speak, but his voice didn't work here. He felt weightless, exposed. Suddenly, everything collapsed. He gasped and sat up. His body was soaked in sweat. Metal straps still held him down. The glowing walls returned. He was back in the alien chamber. Vera stood beside him, her tablet in hand. She watched his reaction closely. You've entered Phase 2, she said. The serum is searching your core emotions. It does not lie. It does not hide. Evan struggled to breathe. What was that place? That woman? Vera didn't answer right away. She turned off the tablet and looked into his eyes. The serum doesn't create new memories. It pulls from what is already there. The woman you saw is someone from your past, or maybe someone you once imagined. He looked away. I didn't feel in control. It was like being broken apart. Vera nodded. That is the purpose. Another alien female entered the chamber. She carried a silver box with warning signs glowing on its side. The second dose is ready, she said. Vera hesitated. Are we sure we should continue? His readings are unstable. The other female didn't. Wait. She injected the second serum into Evan's neck. This time, the effect was faster. Evan's eyes rolled back. His body stiffened. His mind opened again. He was no longer in the field. He was in a dark room. Rain hit the glass outside. A small fire burned in the corner. A woman sat by the window. She was crying. Evan stepped forward. He recognized her. She had once meant everything to him. A real memory. But in this version, she turned and looked straight at him. You left. That's what you do. You run. Her voice pierced him. It wasn't just a dream. It was truth. It was pain. Then the room filled with whispers. Dozens of voices. All female. All accusing. He dropped to his knees. The voices grew louder. Emotion, obsession, control, chaos. He couldn't take it anymore. Suddenly, he was yanked back into the real world again. His body shook. Alarms beeped. The chamber lights turned red. Vera rushed forward and placed her hand on his chest. Breathe, Evan. You're safe now. It's over. But he didn't feel safe. He felt invaded. Like his soul had been pulled apart and stitched back wrong. He grabbed her wrist. Why are you doing this? What do you want from me? Vera looked around. The other alien female had already left. She leaned close to Evan's ear and whispered, Not all of us agree with this program. Evan stared at her. Then why are you part of it? She hesitated. Because I need to understand you. Not just as a subject, as a man. There was silence between them. Then Vera stepped back and activated her tablet again. His vitals are holding. Begin emotional sync analysis. Evan's chair lowered. The chamber darkened. A screen showed his brainwaves glowing like stars. Vera turned to the display, but her eyes weren't focused on the data. She was watching Evan. In her mind, a question repeated. Why does this human affect me? Evan closed his eyes. The serum was still inside him, still working. He could feel it searching for something. He whispered to himself, "You want to know my emotions? Then you'll see everything." The chamber lights faded to black dots somewhere beyond the room. A voice spoke in an ancient tongue. Phase 3 begins when he stops resisting. Vera stood alone in the decontamination chamber. The walls pulsed with quiet energy. Her hands shook as she placed her gloves on the rack. Her thoughts were loud, louder than anything around her. She had seen hundreds of test subjects before, males from different species, but none like him. Evan was different. He was not reacting the way the data had predicted. His brainwaves didn't match the known human patterns. His memories were not simple. They were layered, emotional, unstable. And worst of all, they were reaching her. She could feel them. Every time the serum activated, a part of his emotion crossed into her mind. It wasn't supposed to happen. It had never happened before. A voice interrupted her thoughts. It was the high-order AI speaking through the wall. "Scientist Vera, you are scheduled for debrief. Report to Hall of Minds." She didn't move. Instead, she looked at her own reflection in the metal wall. Her eyes were different now, softer, confused. The door slid open. She stepped into the corridor and walked past silent guards. None of them looked at her. None of them knew what was going on inside her. Inside the Hall of Minds, the council sat waiting. A dozen alien females, older and more powerful. Judge Sorrentha sat at the center. Vera stood still. Sorrentha raised her hand. "Your readings are delayed. Explain." Vera kept her voice steady. "The subject is resisting the serum in unpredictable ways. His emotional response is spreading beyond containment. He is triggering memory resonance in nearby minds." One of the council members leaned forward. "You mean he is affecting you?" Vera hesitated. "Yes." Whispers filled the room. One voice cut through the rest. "End the trial. Terminate the subject." Sorrentha raised her hand again. "No, let it continue. This reaction is exactly what we feared, and what we hoped for." Vera stepped back from the council. Her mind was racing. She needed answers, but not from them. She needed to see Evan again. Back in the observation chamber, Evan was still in his pod. His eyes were closed. His body was calm, but the energy around him was shifting. His thoughts were reaching out. Vera entered alone. She stood beside the pod and whispered, "Can you hear me?" His eyes opened slowly. "Are you real this time?" She smiled a little. "More real than what you've seen so far." Evan sat up inside the pod. He looked tired but focused. "You said you'd guide me, but you didn't tell me the truth. What is this place really?" Vera glanced at the walls. No cameras, no audio feeds. She lowered her voice. "This isn't just a trial, it's an experiment. You were chosen because of something hidden in your DNA, something ancient." Evan frowned. "I'm just human, that's all." "No, not exactly. There's a genetic marker in you, one we've seen only once before. A human explorer 70 years ago. He came here by accident. He never left. But before he died, he touched one of us." Vera paused. "He touched me." Evan stared at her. "Touched you? What do you mean?" "He didn't hurt me. He didn't even speak. He simply placed his hand on mine. And something passed between us. Emotion. Connection. That moment stayed with me for decades. I never forgot it." Evan leaned forward. "And now what? You think I'm like him?" Vera nodded. "You are more than like him. You might be his blood." Silence filled the room. Evan shook his head. "You're telling me this whole trial, this serum, all of it, is because of something someone did 70 years ago?" "No, That was only the beginning. After that contact, the Council grew afraid. They believed human males had the power to corrupt our species. That's why this program began. Evan looked down at his hands. And if I pass all the phases? Then you won't be destroyed, you'll be used. For what? Vera's voice lowered. To create a new kind of being. One that blends human passion with alien control. Evan stood up inside the pod. I didn't agree to any of this. You didn't have a choice, she said. He stepped closer. But maybe you do. Vera stared at him. For the first time in decades, she felt uncertain, weak, alive. Behind them, the chamber lights shifted to red. A warning flashed on the wall. Unauthorized contact detected. Emotional breach in progress. Evan reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. Evan's hand burned. The moment he touched Vera, a sharp energy surged through his skin. It wasn't pain. It was something deeper. Like electricity mixed with memory, he pulled away fast. The chamber's alarms flashed red across the walls. The floor under his feet, Vibratted. Vira didn't panic. Instead, she placed her palm on a glowing panel beside the chamber door. The alarms stopped. The room went still. Evan stared at her. What did you just do? I shut off the sensors, she said. Only for 30 seconds. We have no time. She reached into her uniform and pulled out a thin crystal key. Its surface pulsed with strange symbols. She handed it to him. You'll need this if you want to leave. Evan didn't move. His eyes narrowed. Leave? You're helping me escape now? Vera stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I don't know how long I can protect you. The Council is splitting. Some want to keep you alive. Others want to end you before the next phase. He clenched the key in his hand. And what do you want? Vera didn't answer right away. I want to know what you really are, she said. And I want to give you a chance to find out too. She touched the control panel again. A hidden door opened in the wall. Behind it, a dark tunnel stretched deep into the ship. No cameras in there, she said. It leads to the lower lab. There's something I want you to see. Evan didn't trust her fully. He couldn't, but staying meant more injections. More trials. More pieces of his mind taken from him. He stepped into the tunnel. The door closed behind him. The tunnel was silent, cold, and narrow. Faint lights guided his steps. As he walked, he remembered the visions the serum had shown him. The woman at the lake. The crying girl by the window. The voices accusing him. He shook his head. None of it felt fake, he whispered to himself. But none of it felt like me either. At the end of the tunnel, another door waited. This time, it opened on its own. Vera stood inside. The room was nothing like the others. It was older, dusty, dim. Machines blinked with slow fading lights. On the far wall, a giant glass tank held a body. Evan stepped closer. It was a human male, floating. Frozen, his face was calm. His hands were curled like he was sleeping. Vira stood beside the tank. He came here before anyone knew your world existed, she said. He crashed near our moons. He survived long enough to be found. Evan stared at the frozen man. He looks like me. His name was Lieutenant Adrian Shaw, Earthborn, Explorer class. He made contact with our kind, and something changed in us. In me. Vera tapped on the glass. He died before we could ask him why humans feel so much. But his DNA had something rare, something wild, something your council calls dangerous. She turned to Evan, and now you have it too. Evan stepped back. This is what you're not telling the others, he said. This is what they're afraid of. Vera nodded. They fear emotion because it brings change. They fear desire because it cannot be controlled. They fear humans because you carry both. A sudden sound cut through the silence. Voices in the hallway. Guards. Vira single quotes. S eyes locked onto Evans, you need to choose. Go back, finish the phases, and be their weapon. Or follow me and run. Evan hesitated. He looked at the frozen man one last time. Then he ran. Vera led him through another exit. The walls were tight, the lights blinking fast now. Alarms echoed. In the distance, the ship was waking up. As they turned a corner, a gate dropped in front of them. Blocked. Behind them, 2 guards entered the hall, weapons raised. Evan raised the crystal key. It began to glow. Without thinking, he touched it to the wall beside the gate. The gate vanished. Vera looked at him in shock. That's not supposed to happen, she said. Evan didn't stop. Then let's see what else I'm not supposed to do. They ran. And somewhere deep inside the alien ship, the Queen opened her eyes. The Queen sat alone inside the sphere of memory. She had not moved in 300 days. She did not need to. Her body was still. Her mind was awake. The sphere was not a room. It was a living machine. It floated above the core of the ship, surrounded by ancient codes. Here, she could see everything. She had watched Evan since the first injection. She had listened to his heartbeat. She had studied his dreams. Now he was running through her halls, unlocking gates with a key that should not obey him. She opened her eyes. It was time. Far below the sphere, Evan and Vera raced through the final corridor. Behind them, the sounds of boots and weapons grew louder. Lights flashed above them. The ship had turned against them. This way, Vera shouted. The lift leads to the outer layer. Evan didn't answer. His legs ached. His mind felt sharp. Too sharp. As if something inside him was burning brighter with every step. They reached the lift. It opened on its own. Evan stepped inside. Vera followed, but the doors didn't close. Instead, a new voice filled the space. I was hoping you would run. Evan turned fast. The Queen stood in front of them. She didn't walk. She floated. Her gown was made of silver light. Her hair moved as if touched by invisible waves. Her eyes were deep and quiet like black water. Everyone else had spoken with power. She spoke with silence. I watched the first one, she said. The man you saw in the tank. He brought something into our world, something wild, something real. Evan stood still. You killed him, he said. No, time did. We only tried to understand him. Just like we are trying to understand you. Vera stepped in front of Evan. You said he would be safe if he cooperated. The Queen looked at her. I said no such thing. Then she turned to Evan again. You are not here by mistake. You were drawn here, not by our orders, not by chance, but by what sleeps inside you. Evan took a step back. I don't know what that means. You will. She raised her hand. The walls melted away. They now stood inside a round chamber, filled with moving light. Images floated in the air, not just memories but futures. A million versions of what could happen. Earth on fire. Earth united. Evan as a leader. Evan as a weapon. You have 2 paths, the Queen said. Obey and become the bridge between our worlds, or resist and break everything. Evan shook his head. You talk like I'm special. But I didn't ask for this. No one ever does. Suddenly his chest burned. He dropped to his knees. A glow spread across his skin. The serum was changing again. The Queen stepped closer. You were born with something your people have forgotten. A frequency older than war. It speaks not with power, but with feeling. Vera moved toward Evan, but the Queen raised her hand. He must pass through this alone. Evan's eyes shut. Inside his mind, 2 voices clashed. One told him to run. The other told him to rise. He chose the second. He stood slowly. The glow faded. The pain stopped. When he looked at the Queen, her eyes were wide for the first time. You resisted the final lock, she said. No, he replied. I opened it. Without warning, the images in the air shattered. Alarms went silent. Every screen across the ship turned black. Vera whispered. What just happened? Evan looked at the Queen. You wanted a bridge. Now you've got one. She stared at him. Not with anger, but with something older, fear. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Queen stepped back. The ship changed its rhythm. The walls no longer hummed with control. They pulsed with confusion. Systems blinked off and on without reason. The lights flickered not from damage, but from indecision. The ship was alive. And it was listening to Evan. He stood still in the center of the chamber. Around him, alien systems flickered with symbols that responded to his breath, his thoughts, even the beat of his heart. Vera watched from a distance. Her hands were shaking. This was no longer a trial. No longer a test. This was a shift. You're changing the core field, she said. Even the language in the control systems is rewriting itself. Evan didn't look at her. His eyes were closed. His body glowed faintly. The serum was no longer fighting his system. It was sinking with him. He whispered to no one. You tried to rewrite me, but I remembered who I am. Above them, the Queen appeared again. Not with light, not with sound. She stepped into the chamber like mist taking form. No robe. No floating power. Just silence. I warned you, she said. Emotion has no balance. It spreads, it burns, it breaks design. Evan looked at her. Maybe your design needed breaking. The Queen raised her hand, but nothing happened. The ship no longer followed her voice. It waited for his. In the central tower of the ship, the council gathered in chaos. Screens failed, pathways locked. Orders were ignored by their own machines. One council member cried out, "The human is breaking the link." "No," said another. "He is becoming the link." Back in the chamber, the Queen stepped forward. "You are not in control. You are in conflict. Your body is only a container. Your will is still human. That makes you weak." Evan took a breath. "I'm human. That makes me dangerous to your system. But it also makes me honest." The Queen moved closer. "You cannot hold this power. You are a single voice." Evan shook his head. "No, I am every memory you forced into me. Every feeling you tried to erase. Every dream you tried to turn off." His voice shook the room. "I am the full range of what you fear." Vera stepped beside him now. She reached for his hand. "He's not alone," she said. "Not anymore." The Queen's face stayed still, but her energy dimmed. "You don't understand what you've done." Evan nodded. "I do. I chose not to be reshaped. I chose not to be silenced." The chamber doors opened on their own, not by command, by recognition. Ship was responding to a new pilot. Deep inside the engine bay, another force began to rise. Old programs activated. Locked weapons stirred in their chambers. The system did not know whether to obey the Queen or the human. The conflict echoed through the structure like thunder underwater. The ship was at war with itself. Evan stepped toward the central panel. His hand hovered over it. Vera whispered, "If you touch that, you'll take full control." He turned to her. "I don't want control. I want choice." He touched the panel. A new light spread through the ship. It was not cold. It was warm. It felt like home. In the council chamber, silence took over. The Queen arrived alone. She looked at her people. And then she said something no one expected. He passed, not because he followed, not because he obeyed, but because he refused. She looked to the sky. The war is no longer between species. It is between systems of belief. Her voice softened. And one human just reminded us what belief truly means. The ship was no longer glowing. It was breathing. Each panel, each wire, each path, silent but alive. The energy that once obeyed the Queen now rested, not defeated. Just still. Evan stood at the edge of the command deck. Below him, endless. Stars moved across the black window. The galaxy felt closer than ever before. He wasn't a prisoner anymore. He wasn't a test subject. He was something else. Now Vera stepped beside him. Her voice was quiet. "It's done." Evan didn't answer at first. His hands were resting on the control panel, but he wasn't touching anything. "I thought I'd feel free," he said. "But now I just feel uncertain." Vera nodded. "Freedom is not the end. It's where all the hard questions begin." He looked at her. "What happens to your people now?" She gave a small smile. "They will argue. They will rebuild. Some will fear you. Some will follow your example. But none of them can go back." Evan stepped back from the panel. "What about Earth?" Vera paused. "It's still there. Still messy. Still loud. Still yours." A soft chime rang out. The Queen entered. She no longer wore her crown. No guards followed her. She walked with slow steps, her eyes clear and calm. "You unlocked something," she said. Evan turned to her. "I didn't plan to. That's why it worked." She reached into her robe and handed him a silver device. It looked like a seed, made of light. "This is a gate key. It will take you home." He held it in both hands. "And if I want to stay?" The Queen glanced at Vera. "You have that choice too." Vera stepped forward. "But if you return to Earth, your story will spread. They will come looking. Not all of them will come in peace." Evan stared at the seed. "I never wanted to be a symbol." "You're not," Vera said. "You're a reminder," he smiled. "Just a little. Same thing, isn't it?" A silence passed between them. It wasn't cold. It wasn't heavy. It was full of meaning. The ship opened a path, a corridor of light, stretched from the command deck to a launch bay. A small vessel waited inside. It had no weapons, only direction. Evan looked at the Queen, then at Vera. "What if I return? But not forever?" Vera's eyes brightened. "Then we'll leave the stars open for you." He stepped toward the corridor. Every step felt like a decision. When he reached the ship, he turned around one last time. "You didn't just test me," he said. "You learned something too." The Queen gave the smallest nod. "That feelings are not weakness, and that humans are not chaos. They are choice." The gate opened. The vessel launched into the dark. 1 week later, Earth orbit A. Bright tier opened above the planet. A ship appeared from nothing, silent, elegant, human in shape, alien in purpose. Inside it, Evan stared down at the blue world. He whispered to himself, "This time, I don't return to be understood. I return to understand." Behind him, locked in a chamber, the final vial pulsed with soft pink light. A label blinked. "Desire serum, phase 2, Earth release."